Why does Barack Obama hate Israel? Look at the Gaza Strip. That was supposed to be the test case. Look at the Gaza Strip. What is it? It is a terrorist launching pad. A terrorist launching pad. The question was, could the Palestinians finally create a civil society and a civil government? The answer is no, they can't. The democracy project failed in the Gaza Strip, as it will in most of the Middle East. What nation negotiates across the table from people who say they want to slit their throats? What people sit across the table from people who say they want the annihilation of their race? What people sit across the table from people who don't even recognize their country? Do we do that? Does any country on the face of the nation do that? To show you how petty and arrogant and committed our Marxist president is, Netanyahu is supposed to speak and will speak to Congress tomorrow and to Obama tomorrow. And then Obama, to knock the legs out from under him, quickly organizes this event, this speech. And the media slobbering all over him, oh, it's a big speech. That's what they kept reporting. And he gives this speech while the man is literally in the air flying to the United States. Is that how you treat an ally? Would he do this to any Arab or Muslim? Has he? If you believe in liberty, then you cannot support Obama. He's sympathetic to these third world countries run by tyrants and psychopaths. And he has nothing but contempt for advanced democracies, including our own. This global citizen isn't a global citizen at all. The Brits don't trust him, and for good reason. And they don't respect him. The French don't trust him, and they don't respect him. The Germans don't trust him, and they don't respect him. And the Israeli people detest him. And you want to know why? Because the biggest danger the Israelis face today, not Hamas, not Hezbollah, not Syria, not Iran, not Egypt, it's Barack Obama. When we were hit on 9/11, these people were dancing in the street. They were handing out candy. And they were quickly told to cut it out till the Americans may find out about it. They don't like us, they hate us. The Israelis, on the other hand, asked what they could do to help us. The Israelis send what help they can to parts of the world when there are natural disasters. The Iranians? Syrians? Syrians just murdered 1,000 protesters. The Iranians are busy hanging gay people and adulterers. And they have these prisons where young college students are who believe in the Western way of life, where they are raped. Mr. McCain raped and really tortured and brutalized in 1,000 ways, as are their families. Often the bodies aren't even returned. What is it about liberty and the civil society and capitalism that this president finds so contemptible? What is it about this man who knows so little about the world, who has very little substance, who likes to pick on this little country as often as he can? You see what's going on in Egypt, the rise of the Muslim Brotherhood. You see what's going on in Libya, Syria, Iran, what's going on in Lebanon. Lebanon used to be a Christian country, a democracy, a beautiful country, all but destroyed. My question is this. When you look at the history of the Middle East, large regions of the Middle East at different times in its history have been controlled by empires long gone, people long gone. Large swaths of it were controlled by the Christians. It's the birthplace of Jesus Christ, obviously. Large swaths of it were controlled by the Jews. All of a sudden, it all belongs to the Arabs and the Muslims. Well, not all of a sudden, of course, just if you listen to our politicians. The Palestinians have a right to a state, they say. Really, would that be the same Palestinians who say the Jews don't? Would it be the same Palestinian authorities who destroyed Christian and Jewish religious sites when they controlled so much of Jerusalem? Where are all the Christians in the Middle East now? Where are all their churches? Those that are outside of Israel. Are they still standing? Where are all the Jews in the Middle East outside of Israel? Do they exist? Where are all the synagogues outside of Israel in the Middle East? Are they still standing? Israel is a tiny, tiny place. I've often heard it said it's about the size of New Jersey. And Barack Obama believes that the only way forward with our Muslim friends and our Arab friends in the Middle East is to give them the rest. The Arabs and the Muslims are getting more and more advanced weaponry from the Russians, the Red Chinese, and the North Koreans. And they're building nukes in Iran, remember? And we're not doing a damn thing to stop them. And Barack Obama just gave a speech giving the green light to every barbarian, every bloodthirsty terrorist, every genocidal maniac leader in the Middle East to keep it up. He rushed out there today to undermine the Israeli Prime Minister. He rushed out there today to sell out our ally again. And he is encouraging their enemy, who happens to be our enemy, to get even more emboldened. And it is absolutely stunning to me. Absolutely stunning to me that this man can barely even hide his hate for Israel anymore. And one last thing, because I have to be honest about this. Where are the Jewish members of Congress, the liberal Democrats on this? Schumer and Feinstein and Boxer. Let me tell you where they are. And Barney Frank and all the rest. They're shoulder to shoulder with Obama. Oh, they may fire off a letter and have their secretary write one or something complaining. But they are liberal Democrats first. They always have been and always will be. And they're self-destructive, and in many ways they're self-loathing. There, I said it. I'm going to be very blunt. Who in this country who has microphones or have positions of authority or who are listened to, who defends our ally, Israel? Rush Limbaugh? Sean Hannity? Glenn Beck? Other conservative radio hosts? Me, of course. Who else? Sarah Palin? Rick Santorum? Michelle Bachmann? Herman Cain? Other conservatives and Republicans? I mean, it's just stunning to me what's happened on the left. The far left, the Marxist left in this country, is anti-Semitic. One of Obama's closest friends had associations with Hamas back in Chicago. Remember that? I believe he's a professor now at Cornell or Columbia. What's the difference? Why would you hang around a guy like this? Or a guy like Reverend Wright? The whole damn church was anti-Semitic. Frank Davis, left-wing communist. The Frank, in one of his 14 memoirs, Obama's. This is what's been drilled into this guy's head. And yet there are going to be billionaires and millionaires who are Jewish who are going to contribute to his campaign. There are going to be billionaires and millionaires who are Christian who are going to contribute to his campaign. And by the way, what does this say to those Muslims in this country who have, in fact, spoken out? Not enough, but some. Pulls the carpet right out from under them, too. Because Obama has thrown in with the most radical elements in the Middle East. And he's now using our money to support them. And he just declared that on monies that are owed to us by the Egyptians, well, they don't have to pay us. He's going to change not only American society, but the whole world. And in order to do that, you've got to undermine our allies. And you have to promote those who are not our allies. And is that not what he's doing? This guy's a complete disaster. Here's Obama today at the State Department. Let's get cut 4 ready. Cut 4, go.
So while the core issues of the conflict must be negotiated, the basis of those negotiations is clear. A viable Palestine, a secure Israel. The United States believes that negotiations should result in 2 states.
Let's stop there for a second. Isn't that it? Roll it back, Mr. Producer. Isn't that interesting? Mr. I, me, mine, suddenly is talking for the United States. The United States believes in his radical position. Now, when it came to killing bin Laden, he did it. Yeah, I caught you, Mr. President. I know how you play with language. I'm the one who watches your language the closest. But when it comes to embracing our enemies and our adversaries and spitting on our allies, then it's the United States. It's all of us. Have you noticed? Go ahead.
So while the core issues of the conflict must be negotiated, the basis of those negotiations is clear. A viable Palestine, a secure Israel. The United States believes that negotiations should result in 2 states with permanent Palestinian borders with Israel, Jordan, and Egypt, and permanent Israeli borders with Palestine. We believe the borders of Israel and Palestine should be based on the 1967 lines with mutually agreed swaps, so that secure and recognized borders are established for both states. The Palestinian people must have the right to govern themselves and reach their full potential in a sovereign and contiguous state.
Amazing, isn't it? How is it that changing the borders is going to turn Hamas and Fatah into a civilized operation rather than run by the barbarians that run them now? I'm just curious. And what is it, Mr. President, that you are relying on to ensure the rest of us, since you're speaking for the United States and not yourself for once, that these borders will be recognized? Hamas says it wants to destroy Israel, and it has no right to exist, and it will not recognize its borders, and you're standing there like a schmuck at the State Department, surrounded by schmucks, saying they must have contiguous borders, both have the right to exist, fine by you, but the enemy says otherwise. That's why you're an idiot.